Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to Erin's Tasty Heritage. I am Erin and this is Gavin.
As you all
So I am very excited about today's video, but I do not think that I am as excited as Gavin. Because here's the reason why. We don't, but Gavin loves tamales. And we have a friend, Mrs. Love, and her son Lenny. So Gavin and Lenny are really good friends. And they play baseball together and they fish together and they do all kinds of things together. And Lenny's homeschooled too. And so anyway, Mrs. Love her family has owned a tamale restaurant in Wichita Falls. And they recently closed, and that was a very sad day for Gavin and I. Now, one reason why it was sad was because Mrs. Love sold the tamales not only at the restaurant, but also at our local farmer's market. And we loved it when they were there because we were able to have a hot tamale while we were shopping at the farmer's market. And the week before she closed, she introduced us to her refried bean and cheese tamale, which was amazing, terrific. It was terrific. And it became, in that moment of us trying it, our favorite. And then the next week, it was bad. But Mrs. Love had confidence in Gavin and I, and she was like, you all can make these at home. And she's helped me find a company that sells harina, I want to say it right. I'm pretty sure it's harina masa. Anyway, I have been studying and I have been doing all kinds of things to figure out how to get Gavin his tamales, because
big bucks.
Gavin doesn't just eat tamales for like lunch. He also eats them for breakfast. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he loves tamales. So today we are going to attempt it. Now, I will say that I have ordered avocado leaves and they have not gotten here yet, but everything else has gotten here. And so we're going to try it today without avocado leaves. And then when the avocado leaves arrive, we will try it again and see if we can see the difference between using avocado leaves or not. Okay, so y'all are in for a treat. We are going to start this process. Okay, we're gonna get this started. So I have in my sink, I have taken some really hot water and I've got the water going as hot as it would come out of the tap. And then I put the corn husks inside the sink. I wash my sink first and then put the corn husks in there, and then I use 2 plates to weight them down because I want those to soak. Let me see I think I want them to soak. I'm literally doing this for the first time on camera. I think I want them to soak, yeah, for about 20 minutes. I was thinking 30 minutes, but the recipe says 20 minutes. So we're gonna let them soak while I'm getting everything ready and prepared. So those have just been done. Now I'm going to get the chilies and start washing those and de-seeding those. And I'm gonna just let y'all see what I'm doing. Took the stems and shaked the seeds out, and then I washed the dried peppers, and then I have put them in a pot and covered them with water, and I'm going to bring them to a boil to soften them, and then we will get all the other things into a blender and make the sauce. The thing that is a little bit time consuming on some of this stuff is we don't want it to be too hot for when we put it in with our masa and our lard. I don't want my lard to melt. So I've got to get the sauce heated up and cooked and then let it come to room temperature so it's not so hot when I add it into the masa and the lard. I am using the canned pork butt that I canned it's probably been 2 weeks ago now. So I'm going to use the canned pork butt, and then I'm also going to do a pinto bean, bean and cheese as well. So, and I'm not sure how, I pulled 2 pulled pork out of the pantry, but I have plenty more if I need more than 2. I also have more pinto beans if I need more pinto beans. I'm kind of playing this by ear because I'm not real sure. I'm also going to add the enchilada sauce that I have made because it also has such great flavor and a little bit of heat to it. I did not get hot peppers, so that this is something that all of our family will enjoy. Maddie is not too keen on spicy food, so I thought I would try to make this a mild medium tamale. So I'm gonna add a little bit of this or use this as some of my liquid to have a little bit of heat. And then I also have ham stock, or pork stock. So we're going to use pork stock instead of chicken broth. I think most of the recipes say chicken broth because they don't think that people would have ham broth or pork broth, but I do. So I'm going to use that. And then the chicken broth is in the enchilada sauce. I think that's everything right now, and we're just in the process of getting everything prepped. So my meat and beans are already prepped, which that's the hard part, I think. My pork, I actually cook in enchilada sauce, so it already has those Mexican vibes. I don't know why or where I learned that, or if it was just something I thought of one day, but I like the pork cooked in enchilada sauce. Even if you're going to use it for pulled pork for barbecue, the seasonings in the Mexican spices are a lot similar to spices that are in barbecue sauce, or in a barbecue rub. So I actually put a barbecue rub on the pork, and then I cook it in my crock pot or roaster in enchilada sauce. So that's just how I do it. So it's actually already ready for tamales. I think it's going to be absolutely delicious. So I'm actually going to, once I have the broth and the red liquid made for the tamales, I'm going to reserve enough for the tamale dough, and then I'm going to pour the rest over the shredded pork, and I'm going to reserve a little bit to put into with the refried beans as well. I will be mashing these, not totally, but they'll still have texture, but I am going to mash the beans. Let's see, I think that's all right now. We will be back. Okay, for the beans, I'm going to get some spices toasted up. So we have simple salsa that we use, and I'll put a link in the description. And I am actually going to use the cantina style because it has a good amount of seasonings that you would use in Mexican food. It has dehydrated onion, dehydrated garlic, salt, spices, sugar, jalapeno powder, lime powder, cilantro, and green onion. And so I'm going to just put that in my iron skillet and let those toast up. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of coriander. I'm trying to just kind of add some things that I would normally add to give the beans a really good flavor. That was something that Gavin and I loved about Mrs. Love's tamales, is the beans had such a great flavor. All right, to give it a little bit of smokiness, I'm gonna add a teaspoon of chipotle powder, and I'm gonna add a teaspoon of smoked paprika. And that's all that I'm going to do for the beans. I'm just gonna let those toast up, and then I will set them aside. Let me show you I've got them just toasting. I'm just gonna kind of, with my wooden spoon, just kind of let them get toasted in that skillet. And then here in a minute, I will get some lard and get that heated up, add the beans. I'm going to drain the beans, and then I'm gonna add the beans to the lard, smash them up, not totally, not like smooth mashed potatoes, but give them a little bit of texture, but mash those beans up, and then I'll add those spices. Woo, they're toasting. I'm gonna add those spices, and then we'll give it a taste to see if we need to add any more salt to it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I have added that. I added the lard and the spices, and now I'm just going to give them just a little bit of a smash, and then I'm just going to set it off the heat and let it come to room temperature so that when we go to fill the tamale, it won't be too hot. I think you can see that it has a little bit of texture to it, but they are smashed, if that makes sense. Okay, and I'm going to give it a taste to make sure I don't need to add any more salt to that. Our refrigerator is open.
Best cook in America.
Hey, do you want to try? Okay, I don't know why I do this, but I always add a little butter to my refried beans, and so I went ahead and added 2 tablespoons of butter, and then the spice and salt is perfect. I'm gonna try it again after I've added. The peppers came to a boil, and so I took them off the heat and put a lid on them so that they can do their thing and soften. Yeah, those are really good. I'm actually gonna add just a teeny tiny sprinkle of salt to them, but when I swallow that, I get that jalapeno that's in that simple salsa in the back of my throat, and I also can taste the smokiness from that smoked paprika and the chipotle chili. So definitely that is going to be delicious. Now, I talked to Mrs. Love this morning, and she said that they put in jalapenos, which I thought they did in the bean and cheese, but because of the dehydrated jalapeno, I'm not going to add those. If you don't do dehydrated jalapeno, I would totally recommend. I had to go get some water. Oh my goodness, but they're so good. So the simple salsa, you put in it comes with a scoop, and you put a scoop of the simple salsa in with a can of tomatoes, a 15-ounce can of tomatoes. And so I just did the 2 pint jars of pinto beans with 1 of the simple salsa, and then I added my little bit. I forgot to tell you, I also added a teaspoon of Mexican oregano. And so we are doing the pantry challenge, and so I am only using what I have here at the house. And so I did run to the grocery store this morning and got some cilantro and the peppers, but other than that, I am using everything that we have here in the house. I had ordered the Hacienda corn flour, I want to say at the end of December, maybe that first week in January, and that came yesterday. So we were so excited. This was like perfect timing to be able to do something fun during the pantry challenge. But I mean, everything we eat is fun, right? Food is just fun. So, or we tried to make it that way at our house anyway. So anyway, I'm excited to try this. We are going to have so much fun. The beans are ready. We're going to let them cool. We've got cheese sliced. You use just sliced cheese, and we are using the raw organic cheese that we get from Azure. I'm just doing a slice, and I'm going to fold it up and mash it into the beans. And then we'll fold those up, and we're also going to do the pork. We're getting this done. We're almost there. Yay! Okay, now for the fun part. I put the peppers in the blender. I'm going to add 2 cups of the enchilada sauce, and then I'm going to add 2 cups of the pork broth. Okay, and then the recipe calls for 1 pound of tomatoes quartered. I didn't have tomatoes, but I do have these that I need to use. And this is 1 pound of the smaller tomatoes. So I'm just putting those in there, okay? And then it calls for 3 medium onions. So I'm gonna get those going. And then 12 cloves of garlic peeled. This is gonna be some flavor. Okay, so So far we have our beans cooked and they are cooling. We're going to gosh, those onions are getting me. Okay, last garlic clove here. Remember I said 12 garlic cloves peeled, and then the 3 onions quartered, a pound of tomato quartered, but I just used what I had in my refrigerator. And then we're going to add a cup of distilled vinegar. And this is clearing my sinuses out. Okay, got that sucker full. All right, now I'm going to get this blended up and then we'll get it into the pot and get it simmering for a good 20 minutes. And then I'll set it aside to come to room temperature and then we'll be back. I actually decided that I'm going to pour it into a sieve just to make sure that that we don't get any of the jalapeno or any of the chili skins, just making sure that it's smooth. This is my first time to have a Vitamix and I am loving it. Okay, so now we will be back, but I wanted to show you that I am gonna run that through the sieve. So it's gonna take a little bit, but I think it'll be an extra step that'll be worth my time. Okay, I'm on my last little bit of getting out of this sieve for the sauce, but I have added a bay leaf to this. I realized in the recipe that I'm watching or looking at, he has two avocado leaves and 1 bay leaf. And since I don't have the avocado leaves, I'm just doing the bay leaf. But I am almost done getting this liquid. And then I have transferred the lard into my mixer. Okay, I opened a 3rd can or jar of the pulled pork and I've got it shredded. I used my 2 forks and just shredded it. And then I added a teaspoon of salt to it and tried it with the red sauce. I'm not sure what you call this, but anyway, it is amazing. And adding those tomatoes made it so fresh. It is a wonderful sauce, has a great flavor to it. And so I'm going to bring this up to a simmer and then again let it come down to room temperature, and then we'll be back. I just wanted to, I'm kind of letting you all to come along through the whole process and not cut you out of anything, because this is so much fun, and if I can do it, you can do it. I started to mix the masa with some liquid, and I thought, oh, you might want to be a part of that. So I have gotten it a little bit wet, and I'm adding it to the lard. I did take a whisk to the lard to make it a little fluffy, and this is the 2.2 pound bag of masa, and it is almost like a biscuit dough right now before you knead it.
Too, everybody.
I am just adding all of that into the mixer. And then I'm going to, oops, sorry for the noise. Then I added maybe 2 cups of the rest of the bone broth that I had. And then I added probably a cup of the red sauce to that to make it, it's kind of a crumbly dough right now. Now I'm going to put it into the mixer, and I'm gonna just to get that lard incorporated. And then I will just keep adding liquid until it gets to a wet dough. You want it to be able to be spreadable is the consistency that we are wanting. And no one really had measurements, so just kind of gonna go with the flow. Okay, so now it is, you can see, so that's not necessarily spreadable, but it is getting to the consistency that it is working. Everyone that I watched, they spreaded it with a spatula or a metal spatula that you use for cake decorating. There were several different tools that people used. You definitely need an apron with this project. Okay, so I used all of that. I did put about a cup and a half in my pork, and then I used the rest of it for the masa. And I think that is right. I may need to get it a little bit wet. But it is so close. If I need to, I'm going to add a little bit of water, but I'm just gonna try, and then we'll see. I'm gonna work with some corn husk and see, and then I'll come back to show you. Okay, I did add a little bit more water and got it. I think I got it to the perfect spreading. It's perfect. So what I'm gonna do is I will show you. So you're gonna leave about 2 inches of the skin undone. You put the pointer side is what I called it. And then you just take some masa and spread about that much. I think, don't make fun of me. We're gonna find out together. But I think that's about right when I looked at it. And then I'm just taking some of my pork, and I'm not being stingy with the pork. And then I'm rolling. That is the one thing I'm not sure how to roll them, but I think you roll this way. And then roll, and then tuck under. And then I have a sheet pan that I'm just laying them on while I'm getting them stuck. And then I'll bring you back when I do a bean. Okay, I want to show you this because I remember Mrs. Love telling me this. So these two aren't quite the same size as the one that I did last time. So what I'm doing is I'm just doubling it like this, and then that way I will have the right amount of room to put my masa, and then I'll roll them up. So sometimes you have to do this when you don't have enough room on one, if that's okay. I just finished the pork tamales, and I got into a groove and everything was going great. And so now I'm going, let me show you. I think I got about 2 dozen on here, maybe a little bit more than that, but a good amount. So I'm excited. Okay, now I'm gonna show you how to do the bean. So I've got my corn husk, and I'm just taking my spatula, just making as even as I can. I might need to add a little bit of water to this. As I've noticed as I've gone on, it has gotten a little bit thicker. Okay. And then I'm just gonna use my hands. My hands are clean. And I'm just going to put some of just kind of pack the bean like that into there. And then I'm gonna take some cheese pieces and just smash those down. And then I think I'm going to put a little bit on top of that, like that. Okay. And then I'm gonna take and close it, wrap it tight. And I don't want any of the masa to get stuck right here so I try to get the air out of that so that it's stuck. And then there's my tamale. I'm gonna get started. And as soon as they are done, we will bring you back for a taste test. Okay, I have pulled. So what I did is I put 3 in my steamer while I was making them, so that we could taste and you wouldn't have to wait very long to be able to see how they turned out. So I pulled them out. I let them cook for an hour. I let them cook for an hour in the steamer, and it said that they will they're done when you roll them out and they don't stick to the corn husk. And so I think yep. So there's our tamale. Look, that came out perfect. Okay, so then I let it sit. I let them sit for a good 10 minutes after I pulled them out of the steamer, because you don't want to overcook like this one is not quite done, but I know it's because this was the first one that I did and my masa is just a little bit too thick. So Gavin's here to taste test. Do you want me to put a little bit of salt on top? Let me put just a little bit of salt taste it first and then see if you think it needs a little salt. Make sure you got meat in there. You didn't even blow on it. Okay, yeah, because I didn't want to over salt. So, was it good? But is that good? Well, I know. we are not going to get as good as Miss Love's on our first try. But they are good, aren't they? Oh, no. Those aren't done. Okay, so I know that I under-seasoned a little bit because I didn't want them to be too salty, but I do feel like they are perfect seasoned. And then I just sprinkled just a little bit of salt on the top, almost like a finishing salt. So, oh, I'm so excited. He likes them because he wanted to know where the other cooked ones are. So now I've got to load up the steamer and get them going because he's hungry. Okay. I want to show you how I put them in the steamer. I had I had several of the husk left. And so I'm going to cut my head off, but I have loaded them in the steamer pot. And then I'm going to take the husks that I had left and I'm going to just kind of put them on top just to kind of lock that steam in. That's really important. Okay. And then I've got my steamer pot is just about at a boil. So I'm going to put the lid on it. But those corn husks will keep that steam even in there even more. And then I think that they will come out. I had one that didn't come out very good. But I also know it's because it was the first one and I had the masa too thick. But anyway, so I can hear it starting to boil right now. I'm going to reduce the heat and put it down to a simmer like how I would cook it if I was simmering rice. And then I'll let that go for an hour. We'll be back to try the bean.
Yeah, boys.
Look at it, y'all.
Hallelujah.
Okay, this is the bean and cheese one. And I have warned him that it is a little bit spicy. I have tried it and it is delicious.
It can't be that spicy. I've had it go.
This is true. He loves spice, so it'll probably be perfect for him. I cooked them for an hour and a half. You're not a golfer.
I know, I'm swinging like a baseball bat.
Oh.
Fingers. Yeah.
Okay, so let's let him have a taste.
Wait.
Can you see? I don't know if you can see the cheese. The cheese.
We have to get a good cheese.
Okay, there's some cheese. See if you can get a good cheese pull.
Get a good cheese pull.
Oh my gosh, is it good?
Yeah, but it's not spicy.
Okay, I have spent most of the day in the kitchen. Tamales are a huge, worth it. Would you say they were worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I enjoyed both of them. I do wish that the pork, I feel like I'm missing something, so I'm going to talk to Mrs. Love about that. I don't know what it is that I'm missing, but I'm missing something. I love the bean and cheese. What are your thoughts? Delicious. Could you rate which one would be your favorite out of the two?
Probably beef.
The bean and cheese. It was spicy. It had a good kick to it. It was good.
If I were to rate it, I would probably say the beef is like a 7 because like I feel like I had that. The beef isn't salt. So
Okay.
I feel like the salt and
I need to season it a little bit more.
I feel
Okay.
like if you don't add salt, then it's not should be. So the
Okay.
bean and cheese, maybe I would give it a point strictly because it was super spicy. Maybe season a bit more, but make it a little.
So we had fun making tamales, didn't we?
You have.
Or I had fun making them. Did you have fun eating them?
Sure. Man, it was a workout today, just opening the mouth. We got through it.
All right, well, we've got the last batch cooking now. So we're going to end this video and get it edited and posted on YouTube. And we look forward to your comments. Thanks so much for watching.
Like and subscribe.